August 2018, a cup of coffee in Caracas costs 2 million bolivars. Not a typo. 2 million. A country sitting on the world's largest oil reserves has an inflation rate of 1 million%. People are literally weighing cash instead of counting it because the stacks are too thick. But what if I told you the real cause started with a simple lie? We can print our way to prosperity. When Nicolas Maduro inherits power in 2013, Venezuela is already on shaky ground. But he has a plan. Actually, he has Hugo Chavez's plan, the Bolivarian revolution playbook that says oil wealth should fund socialism, generous subsidies, price controls, nationalized industries, free housing. It is working, right? Behind closed doors, the conversation goes like this. Mr. President, oil prices are falling. We need to cut spending or find new revenue. Print more money. The people need their subsidies. But sir, that causes inflation. The people elected us to help them. Print more money. It is not malice. It is ideology meeting economic illiteracy. Maduro genuinely believes the state can decree prosperity into existence. Price too high? Cap it. Not enough currency? Print more. Economy shrinking? Blame American sanctions and saboteurs. Translation: we are about to watch someone try to suspend the laws of economics through sheer political will. The culture enables this delusion. Maduro surrounds himself with loyalists, not economists. The central bank becomes a rubber stamp. The finance minister's job is not to manage the economy, it is to explain why reality is wrong and the revolution is right. Critical voices are silenced, jailed, or exiled. Venezuela in 2014 looks functional on the surface. Supermarkets still have food, gas stations still have fuel, the bolivar still buys things. But beneath this surface success, a question lingers. What could possibly go wrong? Spoiler: everything. Here is where the magic trick begins. Oil prices collapse from $100 per barrel in 2014 to $30 in 2016. Venezuela's revenue evaporates, but Maduro does not cut spending, he accelerates it. Elections are coming, the people need to see the revolution working. So the central bank fires up the printing presses, literally. They are printing money so fast they run out of paper and ink. They are outsourcing the printing to countries like Brazil and Sweden. The bolivar supply increases 14,000% between 2013 and 2017. It is like throwing gasoline on a fire and calling yourself a firefighter. The warning signs are everywhere. Economists are screaming. The IMF warns of hyperinflation. Inside Venezuela, people notice. Prices double every month, then every week, then every day. Supermarket shelves empty within hours of restocking. Why? Because price controls make selling goods unprofitable. Farmers stop farming. Factories close. Companies flee. But Maduro has an explanation. He calls it economic warfare. He blames CIA sabotage. He blames greedy capitalists hoarding products. Never his policies. Never the printing press running 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Behind the scenes, corruption explodes. Government officials get access to dollars at the official exchange rate, which is 100 times cheaper than the black market rate. Translation: free money for the connected. They buy dollars cheap, sell them for bolivars, buy more dollars. It is a Jenga tower made of lies, and every block is labeled theft. The skeptics see it coming. Ricardo Hausmann, former planning minister, publishes warnings. Steve Hanke, economist, tracks the real inflation numbers that the government hides. Opposition politicians plead for policy changes. Maduro's response is to arrest them, to dismiss them, to create a parallel legislature to bypass the opposition-controlled National Assembly. Food shortages become catastrophic. Medicine disappears and hospitals have no supplies. Electricity grids fail, and Maduro's solution is to print more money. He creates a cryptocurrency called the petro, supposedly backed by oil that does not exist. He lops 5 zeros off the currency and calls it a reconversion. He renames the bolivar to the bolivar soberano, the sovereign bolivar, as if a new name changes anything. It is raw chicken called Michelin-starred. It is denial elevated to state policy. At first it was a whisper. Middle-class families skipped meals, doctors left for Colombia. Then it became a roar. In 2017, supermarkets required fingerprint scanners to prevent hoarding, which meant rationing. In 2018, the currency collapsed so fast that restaurants stopped printing menus. Prices changed hourly. A meal cost 500,000 bolivars at lunch and 2 million bolivars at dinner. In 2019, people fled. Not thousands, but millions. Over 7 million Venezuelans, nearly a quarter of the population, abandoned their country. It was the largest refugee crisis in Latin American history. Families walked hundreds of miles to Colombia, Peru, and Ecuador, carrying everything they owned in backpacks. Maria, a teacher, earned 18,000 bolivars a month. It sounded good until you realized it bought one chicken. One. A doctor's salary could not buy a dozen eggs. Life savings became worthless overnight. Retirement funds evaporated. The oh shit moment never quite arrived for Maduro because he was insulated. The military supported him and they controlled food distribution and smuggling networks. The elite had dollars and they were fine. It was everyone else who was drowning. The economy contracts 65% between 2013 and 2020. To put that in perspective, America's Great Depression was a 25% contraction. Venezuela's gross domestic product per capita falls back to 1950s levels. 70 years of progress erased in 7 years. There's no rescue, no bailout. The IMF offers help, but Maduro refuses because accepting means admitting failure. Oil production collapses from 3 million barrels per day to under 500,000, infrastructure crumbles, and the accountability gap, Maduro remains in power. His allies grow wealthy, officials accused of stealing billions live comfortably in exile. Meanwhile, ordinary Venezuelans dig through garbage for food. The lesson isn't subtle. Ideology without economics is catastrophe. You cannot print prosperity, you cannot decree prices, you cannot ignore mathematics and expect reality to comply. Leadership requires humility, admitting mistakes, listening to experts, and prioritizing people over power. Venezuela had every advantage: oil, resources, educated population. It was the wealthiest country in South America. One leader's refusal to accept basic economics destroyed it. Today, Maduro's government quietly abandons its own currency. Transactions happen in dollars. The bolivar exists mainly as a reminder of what happens when leaders believe their own propaganda. Because if Venezuela taught us anything, it's that the next crisis doesn't look like the last one. It looks harmless, profitable, inevitable, until someone decides economic laws don't apply to them.